Will prayed this jackass would be one of them. No such luck. The urinal flushed. The man left without washing his hands. This was no longer shocking either. In fact, Will had witnessed worse lapses in personal hygiene over the last 2 weeks than he had during his entire adult life. Will pulled out his cell phone to check the time. The numbers glimmered. Then the screen went blank. A marathon session of Minesweep had drained the battery into the red zone. He would have to charge it during lunch, which was blissfully close enough to justify abandoning his post. The business travel rush had come and gone. Another morning without an arrest. Will hoped his good luck would flow into the afternoon. He was probably the only cop on the planet right now who was happy to post a 0 in the win column. Will stood up. His knees popped. He stretched his arms up to the ceiling in order to coax his spine into a position more conducive to walking. A spasm nearly doubled him over. He wasn't built for sitting all day. He'd rather chase a chicken back and forth across a courtyard than do this. At the very least, it would give him some exercise. Around 10 every morning, Will usually had his second breakfast of a fried chicken biscuit. By noon, he was at Nathan's Hot Dogs ordering a number 3 meal. At 2, he visited the pretzel stand, and at 4:30, he grabbed an ice cream sandwich or a Cinnabon on his way to the parking garage. If he didn't die of boredom, he always had a heart attack to look forward to. The stall door next to him opened. Reluctantly, Will sat back down on the toilet and waited. Lady Antebellum revved up over the speakers. Will suppressed a scream. He'd thought he had another 13 minutes before the track cycled on again. The song pierced his eardrums like an ice pick. And then a child whispered, "Please, I want to go home." Will turned his head, though he could only see the wall next to him. There was something plaintive in the little girl's voice that cut straight through. Will leaned down. He saw a pair of Hello Kitty ballet shoes with pink trim. Impossibly tiny ankles and white stockings. The man behind her wore gray and gray Brooks running shoes. The hem of his tan cargo pants was high, showing white socks. "Just go," the man ordered, quickly. Slowly the little feet turned. The bigger feet did not. Will sat up. He stared at the stall door in front of him, phone numbers of escorts, tips on the best strip clubs. He knew them all by heart. The man said, "Hurry up." He said something else, but his voice was too low for Will to make out the words. Regardless, the little girl sniffed, which made Will wonder if she was crying. He also wondered why every hair on the back of his neck was standing at attention. Will had been with the GBI for 15 years and learned early on that there was such a thing as a cop's intuition. Something wasn't right here. He felt it in his gut. Will stood from the toilet. He taped a Band-Aid over the automatic sensor to keep the toilet from flushing. He peeled back the strip and let the sound of a flush announce his presence. There was a subtle change in the air, as if the man was suddenly on alert. Will unlocked the stall door. His badge was looped on his belt. He slipped it into his pocket, not wanting to spook the guy. His Glock and holster had been checked with security, but his handcuffs were neatly stacked into the leather pouch at the small of his back. Which hardly mattered. You couldn't arrest a man for snapping at his daughter. Half the population would be in jail right now. But still, Will sensed that something was wrong. He went to the sink and held his hands under the faucet so the water would flow. Will waited, staring at the reflection of the closed stall. He could still see the man's heels under the door. The tennis shoes looked new. The hem was torn at the back of the trousers. The man had used a stapler to tack them up. Seconds passed. A full minute. Finally, the little feet went back to the floor. The toilet flushed. Will waited. And waited. Eventually the lock slid back. The stall door opened. Will glanced at the man, taking in the short brown hair, the thick black glasses.